Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Laughing Through the Pain podcast. I'm your host, Elinore.
I'm Marianne.
And today, we are doing a really fun episode of reading our dreams.
Elinore and I have a tendency to dream in the greatest extremes. Extremely weird, extremely random, extremely and extremely hilarious.
Yes.
I look forward to reading her dreams in the morning and sending her my dreams in the morning. We have oodles of text messages to and from each other explaining all of these dreams in great detail.
Yep, and there is so much dream content. We've been probably sending each other our dreams for at least like 2 or 3 years.
Oh, yeah.
And the more you write down your dreams, I think the more you remember them. So there's a lot of content. So we just kind of went through and picked some of our favorites. And just a disclaimer, all of the names in these dreams have been changed. So that this isn't awkward in the future.
To protect the privacy of those whom we dreamed about.
Which is a lot of people that we know.
Yep. I think exclusively people that we know in real life.
It's funny because before we started, like, sending each other our dreams, I never dreamed about people that I knew. And then once we started sharing dreams, and like you dreamed about people that we knew all the time.
Yep.
When we first like met and started sharing dreams and stuff, I didn't dream about anybody, and then like now it's like exclusively people that I know.
It's cool. Talking about dreams and writing them down really does help you remember them better and remember them in great detail and have dreams in great detail, which can lead to lucid dreaming, which we can talk about next week, because that is a very exciting topic and it's something that I've been practicing for a couple of years. So tune in next week where we'll go into the more scientific aspect of dreams. But today it's just about the the what did I do in my dream?
The and hilarity.
The and the hilarity. I love it. We have a title.
Oh, that is a great title.
The and the hilarity.
Love that.
Well done, Elinore. Well done.
I just came up with that on the spot.
You can go first.
Okay, so I feel like a lot of our dreams tend to be, like, I have really fantastical fantasy dreams, and yours tend to be, like, it could be realistic.
Yeah. I dream about real people, real situations, real thoughts that I have. Yours are more action adventure.
Like, what the hell is going on?
Read it in, like, a sci-fi fantasy novel.
Yeah, so...
The robots.
The robots?
You remember the robots that you dreamed about with us?
The robots. No. Oh! Yes.
The robots.
I do remember that. That was weird. That was recent, too.
That was so weird.
Oh, we didn't look at any, like, recent dreams that we've had. Oh, well, anyway, we'll just... Maybe we have plenty of content for this, so maybe we can do another episode in the future.
Agreed, yeah.
So... I guess let's go ahead and get started. So I had this really intense dream about the end of the world. It wasn't like the rapture, but more like people were just dying randomly. Or they got sick and then declined in a day or something. But I remember, like, all the social medias put out things on it and sent one final message, and then they completely shut down. And then if you would go and try to open the app, it was just like TV static. I also remember going out to eat with you. This was sent to Marianne. I almost forgot what your name was. This was sent to Marianne. So anytime it refers to you, it usually refers to her. Mm-hmm. Then I remember going out to eat with you, meaning Marianne. And then at some point, I somehow ended up at the church. And apparently some of our friends got together to hang out and spend time together before we all died.
I remember this now.
Which somehow I didn't know about, but happened to stumble upon, I think.
Oh, that blows. We're all gonna die.
I'm like, dang, we finna die. Either that or someone asked me if I was going to it. What? I think this was like the event at the church. I don't know. I'm confused. I can't totally remember, but it was this smaller room on the children's ministry side, and I think there were couches and people just sitting and talking to each other. And I remember walking in, and Drew was like, "Where were you?" And I was like, "I didn't know about this." And he was like, "Well, how didn't you know?" And I was just like, IDK. And then I remember Samantha coming over and hugging me. And then I think Gabby was there, and also Ashley. And then I don't remember much else about that whole part. I don't remember if this was a part of the whole scene at the church, but I remember Beth was there, and at that point, driving away. And I think this was the part where I found out that my dad died, and I guess because the world was ending, we went to go see and bury his body. And I had gotten like a text or a call from one of my brothers, probably Liam, but I don't remember. And so I was leaving, and then I saw Carson, who had stopped Beth to talk to her for a second, just to say final goodbyes and such. And I just shouted at him, "Carson! Carson White!" And it took a second, and Beth being like, "Hey, she's yelling at you," for him to be like, "What?" And I just yelled, "I love you!" But like, I love you in a friend type of way. And he just yells back, "I love you too!" No, wait, he said, "I love you too. 3, no, 4-fold." And that made me really happy in my dream when that happened. Then I walked away and drove to wherever my family was and called my mom on the way there. And she explained that he, I think meaning my dad, had died. And at this point, I should mention that everyone was super chill about the apocalypse. Like, there was no rioting or people burning anything. There was just a lot of people being kind of gross and sexual in public. And that was the whole dream.
Not us, though.
We're just hanging out at the church.
We're just vibing.
Vibing.
The world's gonna end. Cool.
I also, like, my favorite part about that dream is how, like, everybody's, like, dying and the world is ending and everyone's just like, whatever.
It's the end of the world as we know it. Fun fact, we were listening to that song the day before shutdown.
Oh, yeah.
Global lockdown.
Day before lockdown, we were listening to that.
And we were jamming out to it in my car. Yeah. Little did we know.
I have a video of it, too.
Awesome.
All right, do you want to go ahead and read yours?
I do.
I'm so excited.
I know. So, like I said, I always dream about the same people, situations that I'm in. I've dreamed about crushes. I've dreamed about breakups, what have you. So real life manifests itself into my dreams a lot, but there's always something that's a little off, just a little different. And then sometimes it's a lot of different. So Carson had an social distancing barbecue at this park behind his house. This was over the pandemic, of course. I was really annoyed with him because he was acting super kind and sweet and a little flirty. And yet somehow I knew he didn't want to date me.
I like how you were like, I was super annoyed at him acting really nice
I
to
know.
you.
What a jerk. What a douchebag. And yeah, I knew that he didn't want to date me. After I decided to leave, for some reason, I walked him back to his house. And for some reason, we had to take this long staircase to get back to his room. And his room was in this walkout basement. But the whole time we were walking, he had his arm around me, and my head was on his shoulder, and I was thinking, this is nice. But we got to the door that led to the walkout basement, and Margaret popped up. She and Carson sat down together on this futon that was outside for some reason. I was like, guys, social distancing. And Margaret was like, I don't care. And she stuck her foot in Carson's lap, and Carson started giving her a foot massage. I stormed off really upset, and I texted Elinore that I had complicated feelings for Carson, and I was mad that he was so flirty with everybody, but it didn't mean anything, which is so unlike him.
I know.
That is not like him at all.
I also I like how you're like, hey guys, social distancing when Carson had his arm around you.
I did. I had my head on his shoulder.
And then like as soon as Margaret's like getting close, you're like, hey guys, social distancing. Even after the F social distancing barbecue.
I know. Who's gonna worry about social distancing at an F social distancing barbecue? Anyway, I walked back to my car. Margaret caught up with me there, and she looked pissed. I was like, what's wrong? She said, Elinore told me that you were jealous and you have feelings for Carson. And I was so mad at Elinore for telling Margaret what I said. So I stormed back up the street to find you at your car and confront you about this. Carson came running outside and says, guys, it's okay. Why don't we hash this out over a nice game of Guitar Hero 3 in order to make up and feel better? But unfortunately for me, Margaret was really good at the game, and she kicked my butt at Through the Fire and the Flames, and that just made me more mad.
Let's hash this out over a good old game of Guitar Hero.
As you do. Yeah, usually in my dreams, the people that I know behave the way that they would in real life. But sometimes, man, sometimes. All right, what's your next dream?
So, you always know it's a good dream when I start out with, okay, wow. So, all of it separated by periods. I had the weirdest dream last night. So, I can't fully remember how it started, but basically, me and Carson were hanging out. Carson's in a lot of these dreams.
We dream about Carson a lot.
That's actually very true. I remember there was a period of time where you and me dreamt about him so much, and he was just like, this is super weird.
Oh, yeah, because we would talk about it in front of him.
We would be like, hey, do you want to hear about this dream we had?
Because I'm going to tell you anyway.
I'm going to tell you anyways.
He's so patient with us.
I know. What a guy. So me and Carson were hanging out, and I feel like we were doing something. I don't know, though.
Drugs.
I remember I had a sister, but it wasn't my actual sister. It was like someone totally different.
You remember this dream?
You do remember this? And she was giving me crap about Carson, I think. And then I found out that she's pregnant, and I told her that was like way worse than Carson. Oh my gosh. I remember he got me this card, but it was actually something like a Mother's Day card. But he only got it for me because of what was on the card. Some character or something was on it. He thought it was funny and that I would like it.
He gets you the Mother's Day card, but your sister's the pregnant one? Rude!
I know, right? What the heck? But like, wait, hold on. He thought it was funny and that I would like it. But then we're playing around and teasing each other and all that. And I end up laying on my back on the floor. And then he scoots closer to me. And I think he said something about how he was gonna go for it. And so he leans over me while I'm laying on the floor and in caps kisses me. This part felt so freaking real. Like I could feel him kissing me and it was so vivid. It was so weird.
Oh my god.
And I was in pure shock, and I sit up and like scoot away from him. And he was like, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have done that. And I sat there for a second, just like staring at the floor. And after a second, I basically said a big incoherent jumble of words, and then, what, I think? And then Carson was like, I really like you, and I want to ask you out. And I wasn't sure what to say. And I think I told him that I needed to think about it. And then my mom got home. And that was all in caps. And she was so pissed at Carson. Like, she thought he was a terrible guy and some other things. And I was basically like, Mom, shut up. This is my friend. And, like, that's funny because in reality, my mom really likes Carson.
In reality, if you and Carson ended up together, your mom would be like, praise the Lord. Hallelujah.
She'd be over the moon.
She would.
And then for some reason, even though we had that conversation in a kitchen, I didn't change his name in this, but even though we had that conversation in a kitchen away from where me and Carson were, Carson was, like, in the kitchen with us all of a sudden. And me and my mom talked, and she said why he's a terrible guy, and I was trying to convince her that he wasn't. And then the dream got weirder.
Oh, it got weirder than that?
So after my mom magically left, Carson was helping one of the pastors out with trying to use Discord. And while he was doing that, he was in a voice call with this one very vulgar, very not something Carson would watch YouTuber. And like 2 or 3 other guys. But they were all in the same room of this house. And so he's talking with them when this girl walks in, who I think is my sister from earlier. And I don't know if you've ever seen Victorious, but basically this girl sounded like Trina Vega from that show, but didn't really look like her. And she's like in this small bikini top, and she's like feeling her boobs, I think. Oh my God. And she's like, I think there's something wrong with my boobs. And then this stuff starts coming out of her boobs, and we all stare in shock. And she then freaks out and goes, oh my God, my boobs are bleeding. And then that's all I remember. I do remember that dream, and oh my gosh. So it ended so weird.
My boobs are bleeding.
It was such a weird dream.
I've noticed this. How you are prone to have like the more fantasy based, like super unrealistic action adventure dreams, but sometimes they start out semi-normal.
Yeah,
and then they'll just delve into these.
It's like, oh yeah, this is like a dream that's like kind of weird, but could happen. And then it's just like, now we're just gonna jump 0 to 60 and boom, that happens.
me and Drew are at a hockey game, and then suddenly this giant robot just...
Oh yeah, that was a really recent dream that I had.
Oh,
where it was like, it was kind of like the Iron Giant.
Yeah, Iron Giant.
And it just like appeared in like a flash. And we were all like, whoa.
Whoa.
That's crazy.
Oh, that's funny.
All right, do you want to read your next one?
Here we go. Okay. So I dream about our young adult group a lot. I dream whether we're all hanging out together. In particular, I dream about going on group retreats a lot. I've noticed.
I've had a few of those dreams too.
Not so much recently. Recently, my dreams have gotten kind of weird. I mean, they're all weird, but weirder than normal. Like, off the norm weird. But this one was from, I think, a month or 2 ago. We were on some sort of retreat with our young adults group in the mountains. Carson! There's Carson again! Carson was the leader and in charge of games, getting us to all of our destinations. Brandon and I were hanging out and talking a lot, and I mean a lot. This was following my breakup with Brandon, by the way. I realized I still had feelings for him, and I suspected that he might still have feelings for me, but I wasn't sure.
I remember this.
You remember this?
A little bit, yeah.
So weird. So we played this game where this girl had, like, kidnapped Brandon, and our team had to find these little hidden chess piece looking things all over this room, and the longer we took, the more she would seduce him. She was trying to get him to give in to her. So obviously, I was really upset. I kept running into the room where they were to make sure she wasn't touching him or kissing him. I was the one who found the last chess piece. I ran into the room. I threw it at her head, and I said, I found it. We win. Stop.
I like how you just run in and just throw it at her. Yeet. We won. No, stop.
No, stop. So then Brandon and I went on this walk. That's something else that happens a lot in my dreams is Brandon and I going on a walk. And we were basically giving into our feelings. And he, like, whimpered to me, please don't make me fall for you again if you're not going to catch me or something. I know. Can you imagine? He would never.
No,
he's not mushy like
no,
that.
not at all.
Not at all.
I can't. That's like the most cheesiest line I could ever say.
That's probably something that I've written, like in a story. And I said, I want to tell you how I feel about you to the truest extent, but only if you want me to. I also told him I would rather not get back together, and if we were just going to break up again. He told me it was worth the risk, and I was like, eh. Then somehow we ended up on the couch cuddling while Carson was setting up Super Smash Brothers. I told Carson that Brandon and I were getting back together, and he looked at me and said, no, I don't like that. That's not a good idea. Then he shooed Brandon away so Carson could talk to me. So Brandon scampered out of the room all awkwardly. And Carson basically told me it would never work between me and Brandon because I cheated on him. I was like, what the heck? No, I didn't. I never did, and I never would. So he showed me a text where after we broke up, Scott had told everyone that I had cheated on Brandon, and I was naturally outraged. And Carson made me explain why I would never cheat. And I said, I have before in the past, but I never will again. I want to be faithful to my partners, which is true. So it was time to go home, and Brandon and I decided to go on a walk and talk things over. So we walked to this breakfast cafe that's super far away. And I remember thinking, dang, the drive home is going to be so long. And I ran into someone who introduced herself as Brandon's sister, but I had no idea who she was. And that's all I remember.
Oh my gosh.
I just love the idea of Carson saying, no, I don't like that.
That's so funny.
I was so mad at Scott. I woke up, like, legitimately angry at him.
Oh my god.
And I had to calm down. I was like, it was just a dream. My goodness.
Oh my gosh.
All right, what's your next one?
So this one's kind of longer, but it's pretty interesting. So I had a dream where a bunch of us from group were at, like, a park, and I don't remember even, why do I feel like the way that I phrase stuff when I'm half asleep,
I know.
Does this make any sense at all? But I don't remember what we did there, but everyone was getting ready to leave, and I went to give Carson a hug. There's Carson again.
Oh my gosh, Carson.
This is just a Carson's dream episode.
Carson, if you're listening, why are you listening? Get off of our podcast.
But I went to give Carson a hug, and he was sitting down, so I just leaned over to hug him. But then he wouldn't let me go. Not, like, forcibly, but I could tell that he didn't want the hug to end. So we ended up hugging for a very long time. By that point, everyone else, except our friend Paul, I think had left. And it was getting dark, and I thought, well, awesome. Now I have to walk to my car alone. I don't know why I didn't ask Carson to walk me to my car, though. So I started walking towards the direction of my car when I see Brad walking up. And I remember him, like, dragging something behind him. I don't remember what it was, but I feel like it was some giant wooden toy. Because it was attached to a string, I'm pretty sure. I like how that's the logic. I think it's a giant wooden toy because it's attached to a string.
Nothing else in this world can be attached to a string.
So I see him, and I end up asking him if he could walk with me to my car. And he's like, sure. So we start walking, but then we come across a slight hallway with a door. And I guess we couldn't get out of the park unless we walked through the door. But there was this thing hanging from the door frame. And I remember it was like purple and sort of looked like a children's bath toy. But it was like writhing and moving, and we had no idea what it was, other than that if it got aggravated or touched us, we would die. So we stood there for a really long time trying to figure out how to suddenly get through the door. But it was one of those doors where you have to like push really hard / put effort into opening it. And I don't think we ever actually opened the door. I just remember the dream jumping to a new room where there was something that looked like a shower, and there was this octopus writhing in the floor of it. There was like a good half a foot of water in it, but the way it moved was creepy. So this was actually a hologram. But I didn't find that out right away. But where that bath toy looking thing was, there appeared a small black octopus unmoving on the ground. The only thing was that was also apparently really dangerous too. And then there was some really annoying Karen lady who was there to buy the hologram as a security system. It could change from that weird octopus to a cuttlefish to like some swarm of fish, ? And she's like about to buy it and then goes, "The stones don't match my shower." But she just sounded annoyed when she said that and didn't bother to ask if it came in any other styles, because the hologram projector was encased by stones to keep it hidden. But then the salesman explained to her that it comes with different stones, but he said it like those as seen on TV commercials. And then I woke up. The stones don't match my shower.
Wouldn't she know that? Because it's like, it's her shower. That got so weird. It went from you walking to your car to writhing octopi.
And I like how the only way to exit the park was to go through this random hallway.
Yeah,
like
with a door with a thing that would kill you.
Ugh. Yeah, like that's an example of one of the many dreams that I've had where like it starts off normal and then it just gets incredibly weird.
Absolutely. There's not even a word in the English language. Not psychotic, it's just like, ooh. Super. You know what just occurred to me about the last dream that I read to you? At the beginning, I said that Carson was in charge of the games.
Uh-huh.
So Carson was the one responsible for the game in which his friend Brandon gets seduced.
Oh my gosh.
And we had to find these puzzle pieces.
So right.
Before he cried. What the heck, Carson? Looking forward to telling him that. Just kidding. Okay. I don't know if you remember this one, but I'm reading through it, and I vaguely remember it. It was from a couple months ago. We were at Carson's house, hanging out, but the interior of the house was falling apart and dilapidated and gray like an abandoned building. Brandon was sitting next to this girl that I didn't know, and they randomly started cuddling. And I was so upset that I ran downstairs to cry. And then I saw the girl that my ex cheated on me with, Annabella, and Annabella assured me that the girl Brandon was cuddling with was engaged, and there was nothing going on between them, despite some cuddling. And she gave me a list of people she trusts, and I was like, ooh, I hope I make the list. I went back upstairs and they were no longer cuddling, so I felt better. I experienced so much jealousy in my dreams. Mm-hmm. Like, by nature, I'm a very jealous person. It's something that I'm working on. It's something that I've told my therapist. Oh, by the way, I'm in therapy now. Following that episode that we had on therapy a few weeks ago. Now I'm in therapy again. Good, solid therapy. We should do, like, a follow-up.
Oh, yeah.
Therapist episode.
There's been, like, differences since then, so.
Very much so. So, all that to say, I'm working on it, but, of course, in my subconscious, I'm still Wrestling with jealousy, I guess. So they weren't cuddling anymore, and I felt better. Then somehow we looked out the window and saw the house was in an abandoned ghost town. That was also spooky, apparently, and gray, and had old buildings with broken windows. And I think Drew noticed someone across the street spray painting graffiti onto one of the old buildings, and he insisted we go check it out and catch the tagger. That is so something that he would do. /S. So a bunch of us go across the street and start exploring this old hazardous building. It was kind of like a haunted house. Then this random little boy named Nick came running up to me crying because he had cut his leg on a really bad shard of metal or something. I started freaking out, and I was going to call 911 to get an ambulance on the scene, but then I realized that by calling 911, I was probably going to get us in trouble because we had been trespassing in the house.
Oh.
So I decided not to call 911 and just kind of let Nick bleed out.
Yeah, sorry, I don't want to get in trouble, so you're just gonna have to deal with it.
You're just gonna have to die.
Dang.
Slowly bleed out, and that's all I remember.
That's the whole thing?
That's the whole thing. I don't understand. Something that happens in my dreams a lot as well is having to call 911, but I have never successfully called 911 in a dream before. Either I get the number wrong somehow, the call doesn't go through, there's no service, I have the phone in my hand and I'm trying to press the numbers, but for some reason I can't press the numbers. And if the call does go through, then there's no service, there's no signal, somebody else answers, it gets disconnected, I call the wrong number. It's crazy. I have never successfully called 911 in my dream, despite how much I've had to call 911 in my dreams, which is something we can get into next week.
Yay! So my next one is kind of a shorter one, but it's just like, it was so absurd that I had to just share. So, for context, in an earlier dream I mentioned Brad, and for one, Brad is a white man. Just keep that in mind. So I had a dream where I was really down and depressed, and we were all leaving from somewhere, I guess. And Brad, who was Brad, but also Filipino, was giving me a hug goodbye. But he ended up holding me for a while and was just like, "What's wrong?" and such.
What's wrong and such?
And then I remember later on, I went over to Josh, which I don't remember who Josh is in this instance, but... Oh, I know. Okay. I remember later on, I went over to Josh and started talking about Silent Planet with him. And he got super excited and started writing stuff on my arm of things to look up. But then service started, or something started, and he was like, "I'll finish that later." And that was the whole dream.
Hey man, it's not weird enough that he grabs your arm and starts writing on it, but for him to be like, "I'll come back to this later." That's not weird.
I know.
That's uncharacteristic.
I know. I have a very vague, like, picture in my head of, like, I don't even know if it was words that he was writing. It was, like, weird symbols or something.
He was writing in Greek.
It was weird. It was such a weird dream. And it was super brief. But, like, first of all, Brad, who is white, being, like, Brad but Filipino, is just cracks me
I love how
up.
you just knew it in your dream. It just made sense. Oh, Brad's Filipino. Yeah. He's Brad, but he's a Filipino Brad. That's amazing.
It's such a weird dream.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right.
Okay. So, this is one of my favorite dreams that I've ever had because it's so ridiculous. I had a dream that we were at a party, of course, and we were at Pastor Ryan's house. He was our young adults pastor once upon a time. I was listening to him tell a story about how he met his wife and how they got married. And it was time for him to give his youngest son a bath. So he decided to put his son into the washing machine. And I was like, he's gonna drown. But Ryan did it like it was no big deal. 1,000,000 question marks. So we're sitting in his basement with the party going on. And the baby has 2 older brothers. I remember his older brothers were standing outside the washing machine. It was one of those ones that had a glass door so you could see inside. And he was just like waving to his baby brother like, hi, as the washing machine slowly filled up with water. I was standing there like, wait, what? He's gonna drown.
Oh my goodness.
But Ryan was just like, it'll be fine. I do this all the time. Suddenly, Scott comes running out of a back room saying there's a giant bee in the house.
There's a bee?
There's a bee! So Pastor Ryan grabs a vacuum cleaner to go take care of the bee. I had a massive panic attack because I'm terrified of bees, so I ran upstairs, and Elinore, in all of her niceness, was able to comfort me and calm me down. Even though I went upstairs where the bee was.
Oh.
Like, why would I go upstairs if there's a bee?
Oh,
you're just like, there. That is one of my favorite dreams. I remember telling Ryan about that dream, and he was like, what is wrong with your brain? Why would I put my infant son, into a washing machine, and then to have his two older brothers just standing out watching?
Oh. Hi, little brother.
Bye!
How big, because I remember you telling me about this dream, and imagining that the bee was like the size of a small dog.
It was a huge bee.
It was?
It was like cartoonish, you know, like it wasn't like a terrifying run for your life kind of bee. It was kind of comical how big it was. Like, there's a bee.
There's a bee. Oh my goodness. Oh yes, I do. This dream is super funny.
Let's hear it.
This is one of my favorite dreams because I can remember it so clearly, and it's just so stupid. So I had this dream where apparently it was my birthday, and earlier in the dream I was at this house, and the people who lived there were interesting characters. And I sat down to play this game with some of them and our friend Henry, and Henry kept like getting really close to me and putting his arm around me and leaning on my shoulder. And at one point I was like, what are you doing? And he was like, oh, sorry, does that bother you? And I was like, well, not really, but I'm just wondering why you're doing it. And I don't think he responded. And then it was my birthday at the same house. And a lot of people got there before me, so I arrived, and I don't really remember what happened after I got there. But a little later, it was me, Tyler, and Drew. And Drew is also in a lot of my dreams.
Yeah, I noticed.
And I think some other people were there, and someone popped their head into the room and was like, I'm running to the store. Do you all want anything? And I'm pretty sure the person who popped his head in probably was Henry, I think. And Tyler pipes up and says, baby wipes. And Drew's like, oh yeah, a whole fridge full of them. Baby wipes. And I looked at both of them and I was like, what do we need baby wipes for? Because I was super confused. And then I feel like some other stuff happened, but that's all I remember. I also forgot that I had wanted the green apple sweet tart ropes and other candy and such.
Oh my gosh.
But that one, like, never ceases to, like, make me absolutely crack up. Just Drew being like, a whole fridge full of them.
And in his chaotic, neutral nature, it sounds like something he would say.
Right? Honestly.
Kind of, sort of. Okay, how many more dreams do you have?
That was my last one.
Okay, perfect. We saved the best one for last.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so I had this...
Is this the you have entered the suicide zone?
This is without a doubt my favorite dream I have ever had. And it's funny because our friend Rachel was staying the night at my house that night. So when I recap this dream, she'll tell me, she was like, I was there for that. She's like, I remember you waking up and telling me, dude, I had a weird dream. So here we go.
Oh, man.
I had a dream I was walking around Walmart getting some shopping done. I ran into Brandon, and he gave me a really long hug before just walking away. Then these 3 guys came up to me and started following me around the store, making fun of me, harassing me. Looking back on it, I don't know who they were. I really don't. I know in our dreams that we always see people that we've seen, you know, in real life, but in the dream I had no idea, or excuse me, waking up I had no idea who they were, but in the dream I knew who they were, and I guess they had done a favor for me, so they felt like I owed them. So they were following me. They would not leave me alone. I ended up calling Walmart security on them, but security didn't do jack. Pretends to be shocked. And I was walking through Walmart alone with the guys after me, and the guys were really upset that I'd called security on them. Remembering that I had seen Brandon at Walmart, I called his brother to ask him where Brandon was so that I could stick with him and not be by myself.
I like how you call Brandon's brother, but not Brandon. Like, hey, what's the name you used for him?
Oh, Brian.
Brian. Hey, Brian. Are you with Brendan? Because...
It gets better because I end up finding Brandon myself, so I hung up on Brian.
Oh, yeah.
I was just like, never mind. And this is where the dream gets really weird. I don't know how it transitioned, but suddenly Brandon and I were in the back storage room behind Walmart. And Scott was there. And as it turned out, the three guys were actually after Scott the entire time. Scott told me that he had a lot of friends at Walmart at the time, and they kept turning up dead. The three guys were hunting down everyone that Scott knew and cared about. Brandon and I looked at each other nervously because we knew that we are very close friends with Scott, true.
Yeah.
So we were probably next. Then there was this, like, giant ocean behind Walmart. We live in a landlocked state. We don't know what oceans are. And then Brandon and I were suddenly in these rocket submarines. And then Scott turned into this giant orange fish monster because of Dragon Balls. He used the Dragon Balls to turn into a giant orange fish monster. But then one of the guys who had been following me around Walmart appeared in the water, and he also turned into a giant orange fish monster, and he roared at us, "You have entered the suicide zone!" And he slapped his fishy tail against the water, which created this huge wave that sent me shooting into the air in my submarine rocket. I guess this excited me because I started cheering, "I'm flying! I'm flying!" The evil giant orange fish monster started hunting me down, and I heard him say to his friend, "Catch her first, because if we get the girl, then we get Brandon. And if we get Brandon, then we get Scott." So they were trying to capture me and use me as bait to get Brandon. And then if they had both of us, then they would get Scott. Which sounds accurate, I guess.
That's so funny. My favorite part of that whole thing is him just yelling, "You have entered the suicide zone."
I remember that so specifically.
I know. Oh my gosh.
I wish I would do anything. I would pay so much money for the technology to return to that dream and see how it ends.
Yeah.
Maybe I should write it. I should write it as a story.
Oh my god.
I mean, I came up with it. It's my brain.
Yeah.
So I can technically write whatever ending I want.
Oh man.
That, to this day, that's my favorite dream. I love telling people that dream. You have entered the suicide zone.
And then Scott becoming a big orange fish monster because of Dragon Balls. Oh man.
Gosh, I love our brains.
I know. Oh my gosh. I love the dreams that we have.
It's like a staple of our friendship, is these ridiculous dreams. It's such an important part of our friendship because I love waking up in the morning, turning over, and texting you, dude.
I had the weirdest dream.
That's typically what we'll do. We follow the pattern of, like, we don't want to forget our dreams. Yeah. So even if the other person has already sent a dream, we'll send our dream and then go back and read it. Yeah. Because I'm like,
I will read that once I have typed my dream out.
Yeah, because otherwise we'll forget.
Yep.
We'll read the other person's dream and then our own dream will be lost to us. Yep. So yeah, we definitely do that to each other, which obviously we don't take personally. We're not like, "You're not going to read my dream. I sent you my," So, it's so much fun.
Yeah, so there is so many more dreams where that came from. There's so many texts of, dude, I had the craziest dream. So we'll probably do this again in the future.
Oh, yeah.
Because there are so many, like, far too many for one episode. But I think next week we'll do, like, a dream analysis type thing.
Yes.
And just see, like, the ridiculousness of those types of things.
Dream science.
Dream science. So, yeah, thank you for listening. Leave us a 5-star review if you would feel so inclined. And yeah, follow us on Twitter and Instagram. And even though I've been severely neglecting them because reasons. Because reasons. Anyway, we will see you all in the next one. Goodbye. Mwah.
Mwah.